Hi, welcome to Mindful Mutterings, the podcast dedicated to nurturing your well-being and unlocking the power of your mindset. I'm Chris Maragakis, Women's Life and Mindset Coach, and together we'll explore the transformative world of well-being and mindset, helping you to thrive in every aspect of your life. So please like, subscribe and share, and join us on this roller coaster journey called life. Thanks for listening. Hi, thanks for joining me. One of the questions that I am probably asked the most is, how do I know when I'm good enough? And that's such a huge question. Now, whether it's in our personal relationships, careers, or any other aspect of life, we're constantly striving for self-worth and validation. And for some, this will be a lifelong task and they'll be looking for it externally. But there are ways to find contentment and self-assurance from within. So in this episode, I'm going to go through the signs and the strategies to help you recognize exactly that, when you are good enough. So self-acceptance, the first and most important step in understanding when you're good enough is practicing self-acceptance. And that's not easy. We've been conditioned to look outside of ourselves. We're constantly given scales to measure ourselves against, be it in work or our home life. Social media floods us with images of what we should look like. Society tells us how we should behave, what we should have at certain ages. And the competition is fierce and ferocious. And so it's really, really crucial to recognize that actually everyone has flaws and everyone makes mistakes. Absolutely no one and nothing is perfect. And once you can start to accept this premise, other realistic expectations can be identified and challenged and changed. So it's all about getting to know who you really are, warts and all, and then not being too hard on yourself and accepting yourself for who you are today, because it will be different tomorrow. You will be different because life happens around us and to us every day, and that changes our thoughts and our behaviours and everything else. But for today, accept who you are and find a way to be proud of that, because you're doing really well. You're doing the best that you can with everything that you can in life, and that is absolutely enough for today. If you happen to want to be better at something tomorrow, then that's inspiring and that's fantastic. Work on that. But for today, accept where you are and what you have. And because I think self-acceptance essentially is about acknowledging our strengths so that we can design life around them, and acknowledging they're often perceived weaknesses, because they're not actually weaknesses, they're just we think they are. But then we can choose to work on them or get support to lessen their impact on our life. And in doing that, we understand that they're what actually make us unique and valuable. And so we need to start paying attention to who we really are. We need to bring mindfulness into it. We can move towards being authentic and taking control and responsibility for our own life once we start taking responsibility for the way that we're thinking and the way that those thoughts make us feel and the way that those feelings make us behave. And once we are okay with that and we take responsibility for that, then we have the power to change it. So this also then, once we've got this frees us from needing the approval of other people and reduces the amount of times when we give the power over us and our life to other people. And by this I mean that when we're worrying about what other people think of us, or we're looking for their approval and acceptance, we're living a lie. We're not being who we really are, because if we were, we wouldn't be trying to think what they think we should be, or trying to live in the way that they think we should be living. Our life would flow because our energy and our focus would align with our higher self. And when we're authentic, when we're honest about who we are and we're being true to that, we take the pressure off ourselves, because we no longer have to try so hard or worry so much about what someone else thinks we should be doing. And each time we change to please someone else, we're literally saying, here you are, I'll give you the power over me to tell me how I should be and how I should live, how much money I should be making, what clothes I should be wearing. Will you please like me now? And the truth is that people will either like you or they won't, and that is absolutely their choice. Each time you change for someone else, they are likely to move the goalpost, because subconsciously they know that they're in control, and so you'll never gain the approval and the confidence that you're searching for. Whereas when you take back your power and accept who you are, warts and all, and choose what works well for you and what you might want to work on, you have all the power, and you have the energy that you give off that will attract the right people to you. So you will be getting the people around you who want to support you, who want to see you do well, rather than the people who want to keep you where they need you, and that makes a massive difference. Ultimately, obviously, that means that people may fade out of your life, but that's not a bad thing. Anyone who's not supporting your growth and wants the best for you is not a positive influence and will not build your confidence and self-worth. And so you will not know that you're good enough because you're surrounded by the wrong people. Another way of knowing when you're good enough is through your goal setting. So when we set realistic and achievable goals, these can be a really good indicator of when we're good enough for us. When we're consistently setting and meeting our goals, it's obvious that we're making progress. It's obvious that we're achieving success in different areas of our life, which then boosts our self-esteem. And that then provides a really obvious way to measure our worth. But it's not having an intellectual marker of being good enough. It's also that acceptance that actually once we've accepted who we are, and once we can see we're making progress, and once we can see the changes that are happening in our life, we feel better, we feel more, and we feel more self-worth. We like ourselves more because we can see that we're in control and we can change our life. But also we feel more. We feel that we have more skills, we have more strengths, we have more to offer the world, and that builds our sense of value and confidence, and that's how we begin to know that we're good enough. So we want to make sure that the goals that we're setting are what we actually want, not what we think we should want, not that we've been told that we should have. And we don't want to be attached to the outcome because we can't actually guarantee that they'll happen. We don't want to be so rigid in our thinking that we don't keep ourselves open to possibilities. And also that's because not everything always works out in the way that we expect. Like we can have these goals and things can happen to us, and it's really not what we were hoping to happen, but that's not necessarily a negative. If we have a positive can-do type mindset, we will always learn and grow from our experiences, and that builds our resilience and our feelings of self-worth. So instead of looking at things and thinking, oh my God, it's all going wrong, I didn't want this to happen, it's more a case of, right, well, okay, that's not what I was expecting. But okay, I obviously need to have this experience, and I know that because it's happened, it's right in front of me. So how can I proceed with this? What can I learn from it? How can I make it work for me? How can I make this an empowering experience? And in that, the benefit of being able to do that is huge. It changes everything, and that makes everything an experience where we can become more. And this is really useful then because it helps us to see that actually we're far more capable than we think we are. But a little tip I would give you is to, when you're doing your goal setting, break them down into small steps. Make the steps that you're doing manageable so that you can always be doing something every day towards creating the life that you want. Because this way you're far more likely to stay focused and see things through. And because you're not overwhelmed by the choices that you're making or the targets that you set yourself, you're more likely to be able to problem solve effectively, and that in turn builds our resilience, which then makes life so much easier. Then we can get feedback, asking people that we really care about, maybe trusted friends, mentors or colleagues. They can give us such a brilliant understanding and insight into who we are. So constructive feedback, and constructive being the operative word here, not people having a nitpicking session, but really constructive feedback can often help us to identify areas for improvement and acknowledge our strengths. It can open up solutions to problems that we haven't yet considered, and it may offer opportunities and new ideas for us to develop. But like I said, it's essential to differentiate between constructive feedback and unwanted criticism. So choose the people you ask wisely. And mainly it's because they see a different side of us. They see, when we're living our life, it's very difficult for us to see how amazing we are at something, or how helpful we've been to someone, or how the impact that we have on other people around us. And sometimes having someone point that out for us is incredibly rewarding and empowering. And when we're in the workplace, obviously there should be frequent opportunities for us to provide and be offered feedback. And done well, this can be a really excellent tool for career progression or leadership development, or just finding better ways to do the job so that we're thriving in that environment. Lots of people tend to have a negative view of feedback, but when you try and change your mindset, and instead of thinking of feedback as a judgment of your worth, and you think of it instead as an opportunity for growth, it can be incredibly beneficial. And that kind of brings us to self-reflection, which is a really powerful practice for seeing how our personal growth is going and identifying our self-worth. And when we regularly take time to check in with our values and our beliefs and our goals, this can be hugely beneficial, because that helps us to see where we're living in alignment with our core values, helps us to stay true to ourselves, and helps us to live in the best way for you, rather than being consumed by what we're told by external influences. And then, because we're being mindful, we're paying attention and seeing where we're making progress towards our goals, and that helps us to stay motivated. But also, it helps us to tweak and adapt before our plans become derailed, because we're observing what we're thinking, because we're observing what's happening and how we feel in response to that, and where our behaviours are taking us. And that makes us more powerful. We can take more responsibility for the life that we create. A regular self-reflection can also help us to identify the things that are stressing us out, identify those unhelpful beliefs that are holding us back, or the behaviours and triggers that are causing us pain. And it might be that journaling is a really useful tool here. So these are some prompts that might help you get started, because I think it's really difficult when you're just looking at a blank piece of paper. So a question you could ask yourself: well, what are your values and priorities? And it might be that you don't even know that you're really struggling to list them, in which case that's a really good place to start, because once you can identify what's really important to you in life, you can then start to look at all the areas in life where you're not getting that. And the reason that you're not feeling as confident in yourself as you could be is because what is intrinsically important to you is not being addressed in your life, and that difference, that disparity, is causing you underlying stress, and that's demotivating you and disempowering you. Another question you could ask is, are my goals realistic? And you could look at what you're doing and see at where you could make changes if they're not. And if they are realistic, then you can break them down further into making them more manageable and achievable. Another question might be, how have I grown and learned from my experiences? And this gets you to just look at the way that you are responding to situations. And the key is there is responding, moving from reacting to responding. Are you making conscious choices when you're dealing through experiences? Are you making opportunities for growth? Are you becoming aware of where you might be struggling with something, and then you can shore that up, and you can build on your strengths, and you can support the weaknesses so they have less impact? Another question might be, do I respect and love myself for who I am, flaws and all? And this comes back to self-acceptance. Learning to understand who we are and what we're capable of at any moment in time gives us a great starting place. It's once we know those things about ourselves and we can accept that that's who we are, then the world's our oyster. We can choose what we do. Like I said, we can design a life around our strengths, and if we've got things that we want to change, we can then take control and start working on them. And another way would be to avoid comparisons. Stop comparing yourself to others. It's such a waste of time and energy. We are all incredibly different, and we all have our own paths to take. And when we compare ourselves to others, again, we're giving away our power, because we can never really know the truth of what we're comparing ourselves to. Maybe that person who looks like they have it all is miserable, or has had to make terrible sacrifices to have what it is that we want. You know, we also need to be aware that we see things through our conditioning and the experiences that we've had, which again might give us a false impression of what we're comparing ourselves to. So it's good to have aspiration. You know, maybe there's someone that you aspire to be like because they're motivated and you can see them taking control of their life. But you're not that person. Don't compare yourself to them. Use them as like a beacon, or something that you would like to see yourself move towards. But you are not them, and they might be 20 years down their journey and you're just starting. So comparison serves no purpose. Please don't do it. But a really important tool when we're moving from comparison is to acknowledging our achievements. That is vitally important. Don't ever underestimate the effort you put into your life. Recognize that you are trying your best, and all the hard work that you're putting in is an accomplishment in itself. I mean, some days it might just be a huge achievement getting out of bed and getting through the day. Celebrate that, because it's so easy to dismiss our efforts because it's us. You know, we do it every day, and we're very good at putting ourselves down. But when we acknowledge them, that becomes an essential step in realizing that you are good enough. When you can be honest with yourself, and we're not building the ego up here, and we're not blowing our own trumpet, we're being honest and realistic. You know, when you start listing the achievements that you have, I've done, you know, maybe you've done really well to get where you are in your career. Maybe you feel that you're a good, I don't know, daughter and member of the community. Maybe you took yourself off on holiday for the first time and it was a massive achievement for you. Maybe the fact that you consistently show up day after day as a kind and compassionate person, that is an achievement to celebrate. Don't negate all the things that you do that make you amazing and your impact that that has on the world around you. Other people will be looking at you in the same way that you're looking at other people, and they'll be wanting your life. They'll be wanting to be like you because to them you're inspiring. So take the time to look at what it is that you do in life that inspires other people or that you're proud of, and celebrate your achievements, because that in turn will help you to see how valuable you are, and there'll be like a knowing that settles over you, and that's how you know that you are good enough. And then you have to embrace failure. You know, failure is a natural part of life. It's how we grow. And we're not meant to be brilliant at everything, because if we were brilliant at everything, there'd be no reason for us to strive. We wouldn't have to change anything. We wouldn't have to learn anything else. And that's not living, that's existing. And we are designed to thrive and to find the joy, but we can only do that through new experience. So when things, like I say, don't go well for us, or they haven't had the outcome that we really wanted, rather than, you know, throwing ourselves on the floor and, oh my God, life is over, this is not working for me, I can't go on. Look at the opportunities you're being given. You're being shown there's a different way here. There's something that you've done. I think it was Edison who said when he couldn't make the light bulb, you know, that he hadn't got 200 ways of getting it wrong. It wasn't a failure. He'd actually found 200 ways of not making a light bulb, and that was progress. And so it's all about your mindset, where your mindset is. You know, and if you can see life as an evolving journey where we have opportunities for growth and for developing joy and confidence and just being more and going with the flow, then everything that happens to us is a stepping stone on that path. And if you view it as such, it's so much easier to deal with. And we take valuable lessons away from it. We learn what not to do again and what's not working for us. And that gives us a better understanding of our strengths and our weaknesses, and more areas that we can build on and work on. And that's empowering. And that is what makes us a self-actualized, empowered person. And that is what gives us the freedom to thrive. So I guess to sum up, the question of when you're good enough is a deeply personal one, and the answer will be different for every one of us. But it's essential to remember that self-worth is not static. It can change and evolve over time. The key really is in practicing self-acceptance, in setting and achieving goals, in getting feedback, self-reflection, avoiding unhealthy comparisons, finding inner peace, recognizing your efforts, and embracing failure. And if you say it really fast enough, that's really easy to do. But seriously, it's like most things in life. Small, consistent changes will be far more successful than big, sweeping changes, because the small changes soon layer up into a more confident, empowered, self-actualized you. So I hope that's given you some insight into how you know you're good enough. If you, as always, if you'd like to work with me around developing this, then please get in touch through the website simplybe.org.uk. If you found the podcast helpful, please subscribe so that you don't miss any other episodes, and please share so that other people get to hear this too. And as always, thank you very much for listening. I do appreciate it, and I am very grateful that you take the time out of your day to listen to my mindful mutterings. And whatever you do, take care of you. Bye.